Now this is a week later, this September 2nd, 2014 City Council meeting, and the engineer has provided options for paving Seaview Terrace, and the only option that's legal is option 1, and that's to put in graded roadside sewers. So I'm coming to the meeting to campaign for that option, and the other 3 options, they can't. I haven't seen the map yet that they gave the engineer. I just happened to catch it in the newspaper. I didn't know at this meeting that the map the engineer had didn't even show the ditch as being on my property, and that's the option that they chose, option number 4. And to boot, 2 days later on September 4th, my brother Donald in Alabama would die from cancer. He only had it for like 2 months or so. So that was on Thursday. I found out on Friday, or Thursday night, and Friday I brought my son up to school, and I had to go into the school to get something, and the resource officer, Greg Stearns, was there, and he and I have talked frequently about his father. His father used to attend the meetings, and he was the first one actually to tell me that the city is never going to fix this. And I was like, I'm not hearing that. And so his dad is dying from cancer. So when I saw Greg at the school, you know, I told him that my brother Donald had passed away from cancer too. And so Mike Hurley is always scouring the newspapers. So and Mike and Greg are friends, and you know, Greg's on the police force. You know, I know what I tell him is going to go back to City Hall. So my brother's funeral in Alabama was on Monday, that Monday on the 8th, and I did not go down to Alabama. I was home mourning. My family's very dysfunctional. And in come the heavy equipment, the trucks. When they go to pave a street, they always give notice to the residents at least 2 to 3 weeks in advance. There was no notice. They just came in because they figured I'd be down in Alabama and started slaughtering my street and sending me more water with all these city employees out there in heavy equipment. It was just horrible. And the next meeting where I came to speak to tell about that, Joe Slocum wasn't even going to have the meeting taped. I had brought my own camcorder, and when he saw that, he ran to go call Ned back in to tape the meeting, and like a minute before the meeting was going to start, Ned came flying into City Hall all rumpled and irritated, and he wasn't pleasant to me at all, and taped the meeting. Just doesn't end.
Lori Allen, Belfast. I brought this so that the public, if they want to see what 1 inch of rain does to Seaview Terrace, there's live video, plenty of pictures. Be alarmed with me. So on the agenda, I see a rush of reading on the comprehensive plan, and I am alarmed that current ordinance provisions for the above zoning districts will be eliminated. What does this mean, and what is the effect? Council has not voted the plan in or had public notice yet. Doesn't seem right. Seaview Terrace residents received a letter on Saturday, August 30th from City Manager Joe Slocum stating the road will not receive its 40-year overdue proper roadside drainage, insanely stating that if the city repairs one of the city-forced disasters for residents, they will have to fix others. Neighbors throughout Belfast are suing each other for water runoff because of exactly this refusal from Belfast City Hall to provide mandatory infrastructure 101. Residents previously with dry off because of exactly this refusal from Belfast City Hall to provide mandatory infrastructure 101. Residents previously with dry properties become flooded because of planning and development. City Planner Wayne Marshall states that this is a significant neighbor-to-neighbor issue. It is a city issue, but the city pits neighbors against each other instead. Councilor Roger Lee said in the last meeting that there is not any other Belfast private property that receives the enormous amount of city runoff like Seaview Terrace. Seaview Terrace cannot be compared to any others. This is an emergency situation. As a floodplain flood zone, it is your civic duty to divert all runoff away from the road to city rights-of-ways and not to other residents. Slocum's letter is persuading the residents to ignore the illegal forcing of all neighborhood drainage from above, across, and even behind residents on the south side to my private property. Neighbors are pumping their basements into the ditch and into these city culverts, and it is all forced to me. split the flow of water to any other resident's private property, and they would be standing right here, right now, and I would be supporting that. The city must correct this. Real estate agent and prior owner of my home, Buzz Caswell, told me this in 2011 prior to the Seaview Terrace street meeting that she attended in August, that the flooding is worse than ever, which is why she probably sold the house in the 90s, who sold it to another, who sold it to another, who sold it to me. Undisclosed how. The buck stops here. City Manager Joe Slocum saw firsthand the destruction on Seaview Terrace with me in August 2011. He said then that the road was in need of repair from all the water underneath, cracking and heaving. He has had 3 years to plan proper drainage with funding. Nothing done. I offered resolution again and again through the TIF. Seaview Terrace could have been included into the Northport Avenue TIF via the new annex. Right now there is $90,000 along with the budgeted $45,000, and that would fix Seaview Terrace correctly. We have been servicing all these business sites and highways, taking their runoff and melt-off into the private properties of Seaview Terrace. TIFs have been used to assist with business and infrastructure. We have been a free sewer for miles of roads, highway, business, stormwater, and snow melt for 50 years. Again, we are not a natural outlet. The city has no rights of ways or easements. Even if it were a natural outlet, it is insane slaughter to force all the impervious runoff up and down and across town to us. Roadside sewer drainage is an absolute necessary. The roads may even last for another 50 years. A Band-Aid pave job over frost-heaving culverts, as stated by Mandy Oliver, consulting engineer, is the worst option. The city made this disaster. The time is now to correct it. There is more water into Seaview Terrace every year, more water under the roads. 17 years prior and 17 years future are not the same, and is a ridiculous formula to even mention. As a dead-end street, a turnaround is ordinance mandated. A resident has stated that their private property is used by the city as a turnaround. Case in point, the city maintains that private property section with snow plowing. The city dug the private property ditch at 23 Seaview Terrace in 2009 to send harboring water to me. The city does do work on private property. The 3 culverts running under Seaview Terrace carry harboring water from the south side to my private property on the north side. The city does do work on private property where there are easements. No, that's not right. I'll skip it. The city is breaking the law under Title 17 by sending harboring water to me. The city is breaking the law under Title 38 by the severe erosion to my property from sending me the harboring water. There is harboring water roadside at several areas. Slocum's resolution is to send it to me. Roadside sewers would take all the water away from the road legally, and you can remove the culverts. City Manager Joe Slocum is not planning, providing, or protecting residents as mandated by the Maine Municipal Alliance. This constant denying and bullying is a disgrace and threatening our health and safety. Seaview Terrace did not spend the surplus. We did not get a say in how you spent all of our property tax dollars. Bob Richards said in the budget meetings that road repair was at least $1 million behind. Infrastructure is denied to residents in the watershed. Tonight, Joe Slocum is asking for permission to borrow $4.5 million just to cover basic operating expenses. Regardless of the split tax bill, that should have been covered by the surplus. The school tax is out of this world, and you talk of floating bonds for a public works building, upgrading city buildings and city properties like you're buying toilet paper, while flushing the residents into a cesspool. You can find the money for option 1 for Seaview Terrace. Please do the right thing and save Seaview Terrace. Thank you.
Ta-da!